The first step is always that dream. Is that vision. It starts with that burning desire to do something if you don't do it, you explode. And if you have one person that is willing to listen to what you have to say, and you have a tree behind you, you have a set and you have an audience, go for it, and start doing it. Our first stage was in the bedroom of a friend of ours. We said, okay, we have for 10 people to do our first reading. And then 11 people showed up and one person was standing. So I always brag and say that for our first meeting, we had standing room only. Miriam Colon was one of the founders of what was called then a Hispanic theater movement in New York City. She walked by the firehouse one day. She looked at the building and she thought, oh my God, this could really be maybe a theater. And then she began to knock on doors until they said, this is a city building. It's sort of not functioning. She was able to get a meeting with Mayor Lindsay and he approved it. A city-owned, still to today, city-owned firehouse for her to build a theater. With a complete disregard for space, thinking we'll never have a space. We're not interested in spaces. We want to travel. At some point when we felt that we needed to anchor our operations somewhere because we were growing, because we wanted some more permanence in terms of our relationship with our neighborhoods, which, we were working a lot with organizations here in the Bronx. I mean, the Bronx has such a rich history of artists, but not enough spaces per se dedicated, like in this case, the theater. So I remember going there before. It was sort of like an empty shell. But the community was so excited. The community leaders began to mobilize people. Lots of efforts went into making sure that this space was paid attention. And I remember having one of I think it was our borough president who was with us out there one day. And he said, what do you want for people to remember when they think about this theater? And when he asked that question, 2 young boys were coming with their backpacks from school, 14, 15 years old. And they looked at the theater and kept going. I said, I want someday when they're 25, 30 years old, that they can remember this place, the place they used to come to see theater. I believe that we have collectively, maybe unintentionally, created a tradition of building casas, building our theaters as places that play the role that a home plays, which is, you open it up for your neighbors and your family and people feel comfortable. To me, one of the most important roles that our casas play, our teatros play, is contributing to the viability of the careers of so many artists in our community, in our sector. Actors, musicians, composers, designers, production professionals, seamstresses. But then there's another layer of that, which is the talent and creativity in our community, and how not everyone is going to be a professional artist. So how can we interact in a way that gives space and provide space for all of these voices to come and be able to interact with us? So that is the excitement about having a house, having a space where that can happen. And I look at our Latinx community around the country and how much we value a space, having a space in our practice, in our common practice. And it's not always about a physical space necessarily, but you can take up space in a neighborhood, in a community, by partnering with others. Because the one thing that I always tell people, and I've learned, is you cannot do it alone. Even if you are a solo artist, you cannot do it alone, or you shouldn't do it alone. Before you know it, sometimes happens to me, I'm sitting here when this theater is full of people, production is in its climatic moment, and people are like, in the theater is about to explode, and I'm back there, I'm thinking, oh my God, we did it. We did it.